Okay, in this session, we're going to look at what is the internet. It's really one of the key questions that's going to underpin all of the work that we're going to do in this course, because so much of what we're going to be looking at is all about digital technologies. So the internet really came into being in the 1960s as a series of sort of academic experiments. And during the 1970s, it was slowly growing. It was being used by the military and by academics, but not really by anyone outside of that very narrow group of people. In the 1980s, we saw a gradual spread into the wider population, but again, very much focused on technical experts, on academics, on specialists, and so on. It wasn't something that the average person in a home would be using. But in 1989, Tim Berners-Lee developed the World Wide Web, which was really a technology which was designed to make the internet available to a much wider group of non-technical specialists. So in the 1990s, the web was often dismissed as a kind of a bit of a distraction, not a very important thing. It was sometimes described as cyberspace, something that existed to the periphery of people's real life. But as we've moved on into the 2000s and beyond, we've started to see the internet becoming increasingly important to all aspects of our lives. So whether it's blogging taking over from the print newspaper, whether it's the massive growth of e-commerce, whether it's the huge importance of social media, or whether it's the increasing amount of integrated real life and online interactions. And so we've got Pokemon Go here as an example of that, but there are many, many more. We can start to see that the internet has become increasingly important to everyone. So we've started to see the idea that the internet is not something separate from our day-to-day life. It's something which is deeply integrated into it. And so we actually see what's sometimes described as augmented reality or integrated technologies, which really takes that idea that we saw in Pokemon Go as a way of integrating online activities with real activities and starts to make them into really useful tools that we use in our everyday life. So, for example, being able to find our way around a city that we're not familiar with and see where things are. But what is the internet? That's the question that we're really going to try and answer in this talk. So the first thing is that the internet is clearly made up of a range of technologies, and key to that are a series of programs or internet technologies, different ways in which the computers actually work and the way they send messages to each other. So we've got a series of technologies, and we can probably name some of those. But when we start to think about it, how does that actually work? That's not the internet. That's just something that facilitates the internet. So in order to have an internet, we actually need some physical structures. We need a series of cables, wireless connectivity. We need all sorts of things that actually enable the internet to exist. We enable computers to talk to each other, which is ultimately what the internet is. It's this decentered network of different computers all talking to each other using the technologies that we've just discussed. But for most people, the internet they're not primarily thinking about the technologies, nor are they thinking about the wires that connect computers. What they're thinking about is the content. So whether it's Kim Kardashian's or one of the Kardashians' new babies, whether it's a picture of an egg that's sent round on the internet to try and show how far you can get something that seems incredibly banal. People are sharing content of all types and at all times. And some of that's very personal. It has very limited audiences, but some of it goes global. It has a really wide audience. The other thing that we could think of as being the internet is all of the brands and technologies that make it up. These different brands that we will have seen, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And there's many, many more that we could list. And these give us, and this combines with that first thought we had of technologies, and it gives us these platforms, these social media platforms that we're used to working with, that allow us different ways to communicate with each other. Underpinning all of these are different business models, and I won't go into a lot of details, but there are quite a wide range of different business models. One of the things that people have not fully understood or not fully worked out so far is how you really make money off of the internet. So do you do it by giving people things for free and then charging them for premium services, the what's so-called freemium model? Do you do it on sort of subscription basis like Netflix does? And then what Shoshana Zuboff has argued in her book, which is called The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, is actually a lot of what the internet is doing, the business model that is predicated on, is the gathering of data about us as individuals and the selling of that data on. So in this sense, something like Facebook, yes, you're being shown adverts and they're selling advertising space, but what they're really selling is ultimately information about you. This is quite a scary idea, but it starts to get us into some of the ideas about, well, how does this work? Because in order for the internet to work, ultimately somebody needs to pay for it. And finally, and often ignored, we have regulators and governments which try and regulate the way in which the internet works. Now, the internet's not that easy to regulate, but it obviously can be done. There are things which are allowed and things which are not allowed. If certain images appear, then websites have to close them down. The police might get involved. It all depends on what you're showing, and that's true in a variety of different countries. But particularly if you think of a regime like the Chinese Communist Party, they're very keen on restricting access to the internet, and to some extent are able to do that using a variety of different techniques. So what does all this tell us? Well, it tells us that the internet is not natural. It's made and managed by people. And while it has some democratic elements that allow us to share information around, those with more power and money can distort and control these. It's very much a part of the economic, political and social system, and it's not separate from it. So there's a number of references that you might find useful if you want to follow up on this, but I think it's really important at the end of this for us to think about, what do we mean by the internet? What is the internet actually doing, and what is it trying to achieve?